Drill instructor / drill sergeants of Reddit. What's the funniest thing you've seen a recruit do that you couldn't laugh at? Had two guys get in a fight in our bay during basic. Drill sergeant made them hold hands and pretending to be on a date all week. Only time they could let go of each other's hands was rack time. They ended up becoming pretty good friends. United States Air Force. TI, are you finished yet? Trainee done. No, sir. I'm done. TI, walks away to avoid laughing. On the topic of names, there are lots of things that are unfortunate to be called when you're Anchor Seaman, due to how it sounds out loud. I'm glad no one ever connected my last name to it. We had some poor souls, such as Seaman Swallows. Poor girl. Also had a guy with the last name Tits, and he was going for the rate of IC, so his name was IC Tits. Then he reached rank 2 and was IC2 Tits. Not many comments here, so I'll add my bit. One recruit left his training guide just lying on his rack. My lead RDC decided this was punishable by making the recruit stand in the middle of our berthing, hold the training guide in the left hand, salute it with the right hand, and then bring it in and gently whisper, "I love you training guide. I'm sorry I left you out. I'll never leave you lying around again." That shit was hilarious, especially because we were all put at attention while he did it for 45 minutes. In my basic training class, I was a squad leader, which is essentially just a person who does extra chores. Anyways, for reasons unknown, myself and the other squad leaders were doing push-ups in the drill sergeant's office. Now, when you do these push-ups you eventually reach muscle failure, so you just sorta hang out there in the front leaning rest and try to bust out another push-up every few seconds or so. We're all in there dying, and the drill sergeant says to one of my buddies, "Private Hudson, tell me what's the difference between basic training and being in prison?" Without missing a beat, Private Hudson says, "Drill sergeant. In prison they get to watch TV." The drill sergeant cracked a little bit of a smile and then told us to get up and get out of there. Boot camp. MCRD San Diego had a kid with glasses, very young, did not look like marine material. He kept glancing up at airplanes overhead during drill. DI noticed and asked him what he was looking at. Kid replies, "Airplanes, drill instructor." DI says, "Those planes are trying to invade, and only you can stop them. I want to hear you war cry at every plane until it leaves this depot." Remainder of phase 1 of boot camp consisted of this kid screaming at every plane overhead. Hilarity ensued. We had this kid who kept pissing himself. One day, after the range, he informs our DI that he had shit himself right after showers. Squad base starts to hold back laughter. DI, "It's not funny." Awkward silence. DI, "Okay, it's a little funny, but we aren't laughing." Man never cracked a smile during the whole thing. What's that disgusting crap all over your glasses, maggot? I believe it's your saliva. Drill sergeant, sir. Closes eyes and waits for death. Never was a drill sergeant, but when I was going through US Army Infantry School, 2004, we were taking showers when one of the drills came in and called us to toe the line. When I got out of the shower I found someone had stolen my PT uniform and towel. So I grabbed my shaving cream and covered my cock in cream, then walked out to my bunk. The drill came up to me asking what the duck I thought I was doing. I told him my clothes and towel were gone, so I did the next best thing. He said, "You know what? You're going to do alright in the infantry." Buddy of mine told a story when he was at basic. One guy had said, "Yes ma'am," to the female DS earlier in the day, so when they were all lined up, she was going down the line, asking each person if they called her ma'am earlier. The guy who did was fourth in line, heard the 3 previous guys say, "No, drill sergeant," and then said in all seriousness, "No ma'am." In the academy, one of the DIs had a recruit doing push-ups. He told the kid he was going to do push-ups for 5 minutes straight, or something like that. As soon as the kid started, another DI approached the first DI and started arguing that the kid hadn't really ducked up that bad, and he didn't really deserve to be punished. After some back and forth, he agreed that the kid did indeed deserve to be punished. The first DI then said loudly that he had not checked his watch, So he would have to start the 5 minutes now. At that time another DI approached and started asking for mercy on the recruit, who was by now basically just humping the ground sweatily. It went on like that for a while. Good times. Early in boot in MCRDSD we were post shower and at attention for the hygiene inspection, wearing nothing but skivvies and t-shirts. The DI is walking the line checking fingernails and whatnot, when one private's hard-on flops out of his skivvies right as the DI passes him. The DI stops, looks the private in the eye and says, "Private, I don't even like you, much less like you that way. Now put that goddamn thing away before it goes off." The private in question turned purple with embarrassment and tries to stuff his boner back in his skivvies, but is getting flustered as the DI starts yelling at him for being an incompetent private, and that if he didn't get it stowed in 3 seconds, the private would be taking a 10-minute cold shower. Things like, "Do I have to hose you down like an excited chihuahua? Should I call the vet? Good God, private, is that how you greet your mother at night? Stow your gear, god damn it." Every other private in line was trying not to laugh, and the SDI had retreated to his office where we could hear him howling with laughter. The private finally gets his junk stowed and the DI resumes inspection, and you could see he was trying his damnedest not to bust out laughing. No one got much sleep that night. There were too many gigglers in their bunks and too many quiet one-liners. My favorite basic story, 4th Benning 1988, was during a locker inspection. The most steely-eyed, straight-laced DS we had was going through our stuff looking for contraband. He is asking random questions at the same time, very professional and serious. Then he asks a guy a few lockers down from me if he has any naked pictures of his girlfriend. Recruit yells, "No, drill sergeant." Drill sergeant looks him dead in the eye and asks, "Do you want to buy some?" A bunch of us started cracking up and had to push. Not a drill sergeant, but when I was in basic I saw 3 drill sergeants surrounding a private who was laying down, and they were all screaming, "Go the duck to sleep right now, private. You take a goddamn nap this very second. You poor tired soul." Not exact words, but you get the gist of it. I still wonder how he got himself into that predicament. Had a soldier one time stop doing mountain climbers while we were being smoked as a platoon. DS came up and squatted down, yelling in his face why he stopped. Recruit yelled back, "This soldier has made it to the top of the mountain, drill sergeant." Dude just walked away trying not to break with laughter. During FTX, the DS told me to get a trash bag, then go around and collect as many pine cones as I could. For like 3 hours. Had a bunch of trash bags. He then took a little walk around, contemplated for a bit, then said that he was mistaken, and it looks better with pine cones. He ordered me to redistribute all the pine cones. During basic, the standard for clearing the range was to point your M16A2 rifle up and down range, and the DS would then clear each rifle with a brass rod. Upon completion, each recruit said, "No brass, no ammo, drill sergeant." One soldier ducked up and said, "No ass, no brammo." Our DS stopped, sat down, laughed, got up and forced everyone to push until he was done clearing each platoon's rifles. In Navy boot camp, they call forced PT beatings. Everyone knows what a beating is. Navy doesn't have drill instructors. They call them RDCs, recruit division commanders. One day standing in ranks, the RDC is going around asking random trivia questions about a test we had to take to make sure we had been studying. He gets to a guy who was eccentric, to say the least. This is about a month and a half into boot camp. RDC asks the question, guys gets it wrong, so RDC yells, "No wrong, beat yourself." Literally everyone knew this meant start doing push-ups, so the expectation is he will start doing push-ups as the RDC moves to the next guy to ask a question. I was standing across from the guy, and he had a confused look on his face. He looked at his own hand for 5 seconds, then hauled off and slapped himself in the face. It made a loud crack sound. He got himself good. I cracked and chuckled trying to keep composure at attention. The RDC looked to me, then realized why I laughed had to do with the slapping sound. He turned back to self-slapping guy and asked him if he slapped himself. Guy says, "You told me to beat myself. Cue the entire barracks cracking up. It was a single moment during boot camp where the curtain was raised and a moment of unadulterated levity came over everyone. The RDC couldn't stop laughing, so the tough guy asshole persona melted away for a good 60 seconds, until he regained composure and made us all do push-ups. The push-ups were an easy price to pay for that moment. Not me, but I had a great team SGT who had a floater, wonky eye, that he was blind in from an injury in Iraq. So one eye was dead on and worked fine, but he had this one Uncle Ruckus eye that just did its own thing. He was a very physically imposing man, with that classic drill SGT bass-filled voice, and his crazy eye just added to it, and he knew it. He told a story about his time as a drill SGT, when two privates had sat down on fire watch and were kinda just being real lackadaisical about their duties when he found them. So he starts just giving them the business classic Full Metal Jacket style, and finally he is just ending his rant right before he's about to smoke them for who knows how long, when one of the offending privates just says, "Drill SGT, are you yelling at us or the water fountain?" It stopped him dead in his rage, and he just walked away mid-knife hand. Had two guys laugh when RDC walked in, so he had them stand almost noses touching each other. One would yell, "Want to hear a joke?" and the other would yell, "Ha ha ha," repeatedly for hours. It was hilarious at first, but once their voices started to crackle, it got old pretty quick. Story from my wife while she was in BCT. They are eating chow one day early on, maybe first or second day out of reception, and they hear a drill instructor yelling, "Why the duck are you eating salad with a spoon?" Apparently, in reception they had been told not to bother with forks since they had 5 minutes to eat their meals. Dude wanted a salad, he decided, "Duck it, I'm eating salad with a spoon." Hilarity ensued. Drill instructors let everyone know that not using forks is a dumb ducking rule, and whoever told them that is ducking stupid. It's an unwritten rule that early on you're supposed to stick to the normal foods and not venture off from the basics. We had one guy on the first week grab a cheesecake for lunch. Next thing I know, all 4 DIs have their own cheesecake and sit down next to him. They are all asking him how his day is going, if he's having fun, any girls in his life, etc. Totally normal exchange, which caught us all off guard. Finally they all finish, and as our DI's getting up he says, "Recruit, that won't be the last time I see that cheesecake." It wasn't the last time. The recruit threw it up later after the DI made him run 3 times more than us. So when you start basic your body doesn't know how to handle no sugar, caffeine, rigorous exercise, and sleeping schedules, so it's in shock. With this shock, shitting becomes a problem for a few. Well, every DI after the first week is required to ask around if everyone has taken a shit, and from there he assigns one recruit to track who has shit and who has not. I shit you not. Pun intended. We had one guy who would stand in the barracks at the end of the night rolling off names of people who hadn't shit yet. Finally, we have one guy who is still on there after 2 weeks, and the DI tells him to go to the doctor. The doctor gives him an get out of jail free card, essentially saying that at any point, he says the magical words, "I got a shit," and he can escape any situation. Well, recruit can't shit we'll call him. Gets the smart idea that he's going to play his new trump card as long as possible. Every time that we're getting grilled, "I gotta take a shit" comes ringing in from the back of the formation. This probably happened 6 times until our DI caught on. Finally our DI devises a plan that when recruit can't shit goes into the bathroom, he's going to have a couple of us hold onto his legs and slide him into the stall all exorcist style. The time comes, and recruit can't shit excuses himself. We all follow our DI into the bathroom and slide him under there like he's the spawn of Satan. This catches recruit can't shit by surprise. He doesn't know what the duck is going on, as the DI is utterly berating him about lying and using this as an excuse to sit on the toilet. Then we hear a very audible "oh shit" from the stall. The DI scared the recruit so much he actually took a shit right then and there. The DI made every recruit look at it, and we played taps for it as we flushed it down the toilet.